As usual, we're back with the Premier League recap, talking about everything that happened in game week 30. And we did have some very surprising results, two of them actually. First off, Victor, how did Ipswich manage to beat Bournemouth at home? And even surprising, Palace failed to get a win against Southampton. They had to rely on a late goal, to snatch a point. What did you think of those games?
Yeah, it was really proper shocks. I did not expect either results. I was convinced both Ipswich and Southampton will be losing, especially because of how solid Bournemouth have been. Okay, maybe not in the most recent weeks, like the last 2 weeks or so before the international break, and how good Palace have been on the road. I was not expecting either of these results. Personally, I'm more surprised about Palace not winning than about Bournemouth losing. But yeah, both of them just completely unexpected results, and it's a proper blow, especially to Bournemouth and their chase for Europe right now, because these are 3 points that I think they were pretty much counting on, and had they gotten them, they would have been level on points with Brighton in eighth place. Now they're 3 points behind Brighton in 10th. So I think it might really come back to haunt them, this loss.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on to you, Max. For Liverpool, like we've always been saying for the past 2 or 3 weeks, it's just a matter of when they'll be mathematically crowned champions. But we already know it's inevitable at this point. But speaking about their performances, they seem to have sort of slowed down in recent weeks. So do you think maybe it's because they have the league wrapped up, or is there something else?
I think it combined with their weak performances at Europe, also losing EFL Cup. Then that was international break, so they've got some things mixed up. So I feel like they need a couple of weeks to get back to their form, but I'm not sure that they need it already because there's nothing to fight for. So probably they're just preparing for the summer break. Maybe think about who can stay, who can leave, and maybe which positions they need to replace. So I think they're just looking at future.
Yeah, Victor, do you agree with that?
For the most part, I suppose so. I think the biggest factor is rather tiredness. There have been a lot of minutes played by many players who aren't used to this amount of playtime. I'm looking at Dominik Soboslai, I'm looking at Ryan Gravenberg. They're just not players who have usually played like 3,000 minutes or so per season. And especially these two, I think you can really tell that their legs have gone. Maybe to a certain extent, same with Ibrahima Konate. He's been protected a little bit under Klopp. Nowadays, under Slot, not so much. He plays whenever he's available. Um, Slot tends to trust maybe fewer players than Klopp did. And you can see this most evidently with Wataru Endo and Harvey Elliott. They're not getting as many minutes this season. So there's fewer rotation options available, at least as far as Schlott can see it. And I think that translates into a much more tired squad than usual, I suppose.
Yeah, fair enough. And still with you, Victor. Aston Villa actually beat Brighton comprehensively 3-0. And I remember both of us saying in the prediction show that it was slightly overpriced, given that Aston Villa could actually just beat them. So why do you think they were not favorites for that game, despite their form, or their recent form rather?
It's a good question. On one hand, the fact that it was an away game, and it was at a venue that's not very easy to go to, the Amex. On the other hand, I can't help but feel like it was like everybody was just glossing over Villa. Everybody was just counting them out already and thinking Brighton need the 3 points more and they'll do what it takes. I think it was the wrong decision on the part of the bookmakers, and it led to it being really overpriced. At least for my standards, it was like what 320 or something. I did not exactly expect it to end up 3-0 for Villa. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a contest, but
Yeah,
Brighton just didn't show up properly. No.
yeah, fair enough. And Max, as a Manchester United fan, is only fitting that you answer, this question. After losing to Nottingham Forest, I mean, even for me, this start was hard for me to believe until I realized it was actually true. The fact that Manchester United have not won back-to-back league games at any point in this season, and we are 30 games gone already. Max, how terrible is that?
Well, let's say that being on 13th place for United after match day 30 is already a terrible thing. Also, they have more losses than wins and season, but yeah, I also didn't believe that stat first, so I got to check it, and that was real. And this is really sad to see what happened with my Man United.
Hmm. Victor, what do you have to say about that?
I mean, feel free to edit this out, but it's not sad. It's a fucking disgrace. It's unacceptable, honestly. United is not a club that should be in this position ever.
Yeah,
Their foundations from 10 years ago were too strong for this bad of a fall from grace. It should not have happened. It didn't matter if it was David Moyes, Jose Mourinho. They could have brought me in as coach. It should not have happened. Um, the situation that United is in this season, like if I were a fan, I couldn't take this. You can understand why there are so many protests, and especially before Ineos came in and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, you could understand the frustration and the protests and the anger and the vitriol that was spewed all over the place. It's even as a fan of a rival team of United, it's still almost surreal to see this. And
yeah.
it's been over 10 years, and it's been over 10 years in which it's gone from bad to worse. And I
Hmm.
feel like Premier League football is worse for it. Yeah, I don't think this benefits Premier League football, Manchester United's fall.
Yeah, fair enough. And moving forward, yes, it's already getting to that time where we have less than 10 games left until the season ends. Is it that time of the season where we can expect to see some funny results?
I mean, we already have, right? Just ask Bournemouth and Palace. Um, I think we'll see a little bit more of that, and I think we'll see a little bit more of that even further up the table. Um, I think that there are some proper banana skins along the way for a lot of the top half teams. I'm looking at Liverpool, and I think that they won't be winning the title by 12 points, like how the difference is now. I'm looking at Arsenal, and I don't think they'll be winning everything from now until the end of the season. Chelsea really need to get their stuff together. Um, I know we're talking about this before their game against Spurs, but yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting end to the season, not necessarily in terms of the destination of the Premier League trophy, but rather the top 4 or top 5 race. The race for Europe in general is going to be quite heated, and I think we'll see some proper shocks along the way.
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with you. The league is more or less done. We already know that Southampton and Leicester are definitely going down. So I think at both ends things are looking more or less defined. But the race for the top four, the top five, you call it, I think it's going to get even more interesting given what we are seeing at the moment. And that's where the chaos is going to come. And of course, we'll be here to discuss all the best bits and all the major talking points as we usually do.